old business today. So the first agenda item under new business is the Pleasant Street update. Mr. Morris, I believe we have company here.
Yeah, Kevin's joining us right now. So I've invited Kevin McMahon from McFarland Johnson. He's our on-site engineer that's on Pleasant Street every day. You may see him out there if you walk up and down the street. And he was just here to give you a little bit of update of what's been happening in the project, where we're at now, and what our plans for the future are. So, Kevin.
Well, thanks for having me, folks. I appreciate the opportunity. So as of about a week and a half ago, the sewer main and tie-ins has been completed. There's two new services that we're adding to two different buildings. So they're going to do those at a later date. The water main work has been going on for about approximately the last week and a half, and we're at a point today where the water main can be charged and tested and get everybody hooked up, all the water services hooked up permanently. And the goal for the end of November is to have permanent pavement down, drainage in, and some temporary parking out for the winter.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Questions? Councillor Gerard?
I had a few questions. I'm not sure if this is the city manager or for the engineer. I'm just curious if I read the newspaper article the other day, and in the newspaper article, it talked about a lot of difficulties that have been taking place. I wasn't sure if at this point we've had to have any change orders, and if so, for what? I guess is my first question.
I can answer that, Ed, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there has been a couple of change orders, and they've been rather small. The change orders have basically involved some of the existing utilities that we found as we were digging past them were different than what was provided on the plans. For instance, one was a fire service to the Union Block, was an 8-inch fire service as opposed to a 6. That wasn't in the plans, so that was a slight increase, nothing too serious. The main change order that's increase was the truck route signage, and that was to reroute truck routes, tractor trailer trucks around Pleasant Street, both from the north and from the south. As far as, so that I think we're on change order 4, and there's another couple smaller change orders that, you know, there are pluses. There was a couple deducts. There was as far as quantity of pipe. So it's balancing out as we go. It's not really adding to the total value of the project. But everything's kind of balancing out. You know, it's tough to plan for everything where all the infrastructure is, you know, the sewer is probably 100 years old, and the water at least 50. So it's tough to plan for everything.
Councillor Gerard?
I guess you had it, so I've got a couple more questions for you. You talked about the truck route signage, and I know when I asked the question before they went out to bid, that was, I thought, part of the process. So you're saying that got added after the bid went out for the truck route?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know, I know you're stating it's not a lot of money at this point. Do we have any idea about how much we've added to the project with the change orders? Or I know you're saying it's pretty minimal, but just curious. If not, I'm just hoping we can get that information.
It's kind of early, to be honest with you, sir. Right now we're running about $10,000 over, but we haven't been using a lot of flaggers. There's a reduction in pipe for roof drains tying into the drainage system. So once all those numbers come together, I feel pretty confident that it's going to be under budget unless we run into some unforeseen conditions that we haven't run into yet.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Contois, and then Assistant Mayor Dameron.
So, hi, Kevin, how are you?
James, how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm the guy that's always on the bicycle visiting.
Yeah.
You said that sewer tie-ins were complete, but there were 2 that would be done later. When those 2 were done later, does that mean digging up and a lot of work, or what's the scope of that?
It's pretty light scope. It was something that was planned for. It's a new sewer system going into the tattoo parlor. I'm not sure, the address escapes me, right next to Daddy's Pizza. I believe that that block got split up into properties, so it'll be just the core into the basement and digging up of the sidewalk. We're hoping to get that done this season. It's not going to affect anything permanent. We're behind our proposed new curb line. So if it doesn't happen this year, it's going to happen in the spring. The second building is at the intersection of School Street and Pleasant Street. I believe I've heard rumors of it's going to be a comedy club of some sort or something along those lines. And that is just a new sewer service run into the building. He's already on a sewer service off of School Street, I believe. And it's just more or less to separate the sewer from the drain. Because when we did the smoke test back in, July, August, pretty much every building. So that involved blowing smoke into the sewer and looking for smoke coming up from the roofs, which is an indication that their roof drains are tied into the sewage system. Every building on Pleasant Street, except for Daddy's Pizza, the Goddard Block, and Real Steel were blowing smoke. So a couple of that sewer service at the corner of School and Pleasant is more of a roof drain separation than a sewer issue.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
In the springtime, I believe that there will be a number of tasks remaining to be done without getting into the nuts and bolts of all of them. What are the major things you're looking at in the springtime to really wrap this up?
The major thing that's going to affect pretty much everybody on Pleasant Street is the sidewalk construction, the reconstruction of the sidewalks. And that'll involve a lot of coordination with the business owners and the contractor, temporary ramps. If businesses have access from the rear, they may need to use a rear. It may be more advantageous for them to use a rear access for a day or 2. If that is not the case, then we will make a temporary ramp over the concrete sidewalk to allow access to the building. And then once the sidewalks are poured, all the businesses will have access so approximately 8 feet from the face of the buildings is a concrete sidewalk. And then beyond that, from that 8-foot mark to the new curb line is granite pavers and brick pavers. So access will not be an issue once we get the concrete sidewalk poured and in place.
Thank you.
Other questions? No? Well, thank you, Mr. McMahon, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Have a great night, folks.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, next we have the